Hey everybody, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show, powered by SoundWeb Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Look at a professional website without breaking your budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs at below the competition rate. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support at sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, time to give official shout out to our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Molson-Zia. If you love fast-paced mysteries, you'll love Missing by Mia Molson-Zia, available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing is fast-paced and intriguing with an unforgettable twist. Takes place in 4 countries, 2 strangers, 1 target, where truth is illusion and those you love will be the first to go missing. It's available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing by Mia Molson-Zia has garnered great reviews and even left an endorsed by Howard celebrities, including Joanna Cassidy, Forbes Riley, and Manilas. So grab your copy today for Goes Missing by Mia Molson-Zia, available on Amazon. Also, check out The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com on over 40 podcast platforms, heard in over 100 countries, including Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also, Anchor FM, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon, Audible, Apple Music. Also heard on HamiltonRadio.net, Diamonds FM, Oldies Radio, and a few networks coming soon. Take the Mike Wagner Show on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok today. And for great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com and check out the Mike Wagner Show podcast. T-shirts, pop sockets, throw pillows, tote bags, hoodies, baseball gear makes great gifts 24/7. Go to Amazon.com and check out the Mike Wagner Show podcast. And for more great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com/Mia Molson-Zia for great books like Missing, Once, and Wrinkles. Also t-shirts, pop sockets, hoodies, phone cases, and more. Amazon.com/Mia Molson-Zia. Check it out today. I'll support the Mike Wagner Show on Anchor FM, PayPal, themikewagnershow.com. Make sure you give generously today. We're here with a terrific lady who is a founder of CWC, which is the Christopher Wolf Crusade, with a mission to end substance misuse before it begins. She created to fill the education and the parenting gap for patients and the public. And she lost her son to opioid overdose, passed after a 14-year battle and substance misuse and dependence. And she also serves on the board for Cambodian Children's Fund and also the CCF Rice Academy, and established an IC unit at Cammie Hospital in Cambodia, and has a brand new book out called Flight, which is about her son and her son's journey. We'll talk about that. Live, ladies and gentlemen, from the Plus Studios in beautiful downtown Atlanta, Georgia, the author of Flight and founder of CWC, the Christopher Wolf Crusade. Ladies and gentlemen, the very multi-talented Cammie Wolf-Rice. Cammie, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you so much for having me tonight. I really, really appreciate it.
Well, it's great to have you on board, Cammie. So you're the founder of CWC, which is the Christopher Wolf Crusade, with a mission to end substance misuse before it begins. You lost your son to opioid overdose, misuse, passed after a 14-year battle. Also, you created to fill the education and the parenting gap for patients and the public. And also, you also serve on the board for Cambodians Children Fund and also the CCF Rice Academy as well, too. And also had an IC unit at Cammie Hospital in Cambodia. And your new book talks about your son's journey as well, too, as well as you, called Flight. And before we get into all that, Cammie, tell us how you first got started.
So, I'd like to start just with what happened with my son Christopher. It was 20 years ago, right when Purdue Pharma released the wonder drug, Oxycontin. And my son had a major surgery, had his large intestine removed.
Mm.
And we went home with 90 Oxycontins. 90. And he was 17 years old. And so I did exactly what the doctor told me, and I gave them to him every 4 hours. And this was a kid, Mike, that wanted to be a Navy SEAL, super disciplined, AP student, and he had multiple surgeries, each time going home with another bottle of 90 Oxycontins. I didn't know. I didn't know the questions to ask. And so I was giving them to him because he was in pain. And so he fought it for 14 years, and February 26, 2016, I lost my son.
Okay. And about that large intestine having the surgery. So what happened with the large intestine? What was the cause? Like a disease or anything like that? Accident or anything like that?
Yes, sir. He was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, which is one of 2 colon diseases. And I was told that if he didn't have his entire large intestine removed, that he would get colon cancer. And so he had a bag. He went home at 17 years old with a bag and a hole in his stomach. So my point is, I knew I needed to do something because there's so many great things doing in regards to treatment when it comes to addiction, but there's not enough on prevention. And so I actually picked the hardest thing in the world to do with CWC, where we created a new position in healthcare. It's called a life care specialist. We've had a clinical trial at Grady Hospital, which is one of the top trauma hospitals in the country, for 2 years. And that position is to provide patients the education on the dangers of the medication they're being given, if they have to be on opioids, how fast you need to taper off of those opioids, and to provide non pharmaceutical pain solutions without taking an opioid.
Hmm, that's rather interesting as well too. And you have founded the Wolf Crusade after your son passed away as well too. And you also serve on the board for Cambodian Children's Fund and CCF Rice Academy and also IC unit at Cammie Hospital in Cambodia. And tell us about what you did in Cambodia and what inspired you to go to Cambodia.
Well, I actually my husband and I lived in Hong Kong for 7 years. And so I did a lot of traveling over in Asia, and I had retired from the corporate world and I wanted to do something philanthropic. And after going to Cambodia and seeing that the average age of the country was 21 years old, they needed desperate help. And so I joined an organization, Cambodian Children's Fund, and Christopher and I were there on a mission trip when he passed away. He passed away in Cambodia. And so we have put money into Cambodia Children's Fund. We have funded a school there and a health clinic in Christopher's honor. And then I wanted to come back to the US and really dive in and find purpose, because as there is no word when you lose a child in the dictionary. It's undescribable. That you're a widow, you're an orphan. There is no word for parents that lose their children. And so I really felt like I had to write a book to take a wider net so that I could get to everyone in the country to warn them so that the same thing doesn't happen to their child.
And do you think opioid abuse was like really at its peak before your son died, or was it like starting to taper off like after his son died? It seemed like it was very common. It was like 14 years ago, opioid addiction was like at a really high level. OxyContin and let's see, Vicodin and all the others too. It's just like I think 20, 30 years ago that was a thing to do to get rid of pain too. Vicodin, especially Brett Favre. That's how I found out one.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I think when we made pain management the fifth vital sign in hospitals, then they just immediately, when you have pain, you get an opioid. And no one was told, and even doctors weren't told, that the actual medicine was addictive. So it was really a pharmaceutical. Obviously, you look in the news, what's happening now. I would say that when Christopher passed away, it really hadn't hit the news. It was right after he died in 2016. But what I will say is, since my son has died in 2016, 300,000 people have died.
Wow, because of that, it was almost like a trickling effect down the road here.
Mhm.
And
It's
I'm surprised. And I'm surprised these opioids, just snuck past the FDA gate. And you kind of wonder, it's like, how come the FDA didn't do anything about it, knowing it was addictive, or did they not know they were addictive?
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, I would highly recommend watching the documentary, the show Dope Sick, because it really displays exactly what happened with Purdue Pharma. And I didn't want to take my pain into bitter, although there's been many lawsuits, and every state in the country has allocated funds. But I do think we do need prevention. For example, if your child is going to the dentist, get wisdom teeth pulled, they don't need 30 Percocet. They need Motrin and ice. Now, I'll do my medical disclaimer. I'm not a doctor, but I'm saying dentists are one of the highest prescribers in our country. There are other things you can do non pharmaceutical for pain without taking an opioid. And you can become addicted with one prescription.
And what are some of the alternatives that you would have offered as well too? And does a person have a right to say no opioids, none of the OxyContin, Vicodin, or anything like that? And did you have a right to say no to that? Is it offer alternatives? We're like, no, you have to take it or else.
I think that people, we admire doctors in our country, and we should. And there are great doctors in our country. So I'm not out to, I love, we need doctors, right? But we can't be afraid to ask questions. And we can't, now, sometimes you do have to be on opioids. If you've had a major surgery, or God forbid, a horrible car accident, or whatever the case may be. But you do need to be aware that you need to taper off of them very quickly, because you can become addicted to them. And I think that if we start being our own health advocates and ask those questions to the doctor, do you have something else I can take besides an opioid? When we were in the hospital doing a clinical trial, almost 70% of people didn't even know what an opioid was, let alone
Wow.
that it was addicting. So that's why there's such an urge to educate the public.
And rightfully so too. And it's also in your book, Flight, as well too. We'll talk about that in just 1 minute. But first, listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at SonicWebStudios.com for all your needs. Looking at a professional website without breaking your budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs at below the competition rate. Call today 1-800-303-3960. It's 1-800-303-3960, or email to support@SonicWebStudios.com. Mention Mike Wagner Show, get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, time to give official shout out to our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Mosensia. If you love fast paced mysteries, you'll love Missing by Mia Mosensia, available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing is fast paced and intriguing with an unforgettable twist. Takes place in 4 countries, 2 strangers, 1 target, where truth is illusion and those you love will be the first go missing. It's available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing by Mia Mosensia has garnered great reviews and even endorsed by Howard celebrities, including Joanna Cassidy, Forbes Riley, and many others. So grab your copy today for Girls Missing by Mia Mosensia, available on Amazon. Also, check out the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com on over 40 podcast platforms, heard in over 100 countries. Also on HamiltonRadio.net, Diamonds FM, Oldies Radio, and more. Take the Mike Wagner Show on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter today. For great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com and check out the Mike Wagner Show podcast. And for more great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com/Mia Mosensia for great books like Missing, Once, and Wrinkles, also cool merchandise and more. I'll support the Mike Wagner Show on Anchor FM, PayPal, the MikeWagnerShow.com. Make sure you give generously today. We're here with the author of the book Flight by Cammie Wolf Rice here on the Mike Wagner Show, also founder of CWC, Christopher Wolf Crusade, with a mission to end substance misuse before it begins. And before we talk about the book Flight, more about the Christopher Wolf Crusade and, what some other activities that people can do, some fundraisers, some events, and everything else, right after it got established as well, too. What are some of the things that you guys have, like with meetings and everything else like that, and some of the things you can do? So what are some of the things they can also do as well and help out?
Well, thank you for that. In addiction, I think in alignment with substance misuse, a lot of times people self medicate. And we've been certified by the Trauma Resource Institute, and we teach techniques to help with anxiety, stress, depression, and PTSD. And there's simple techniques, and they don't cost money. You teach yourself how to do these individual things to control your nervous system. I mean, who today isn't dealing with anxiety, stress, and sometimes depression, right? And
Hmm.
so we do a lot of fundraising, and yes, we do walks, we do all kinds of things here in Atlanta. We're getting ready for a big event in September when I launch the book. But more importantly, we're educating. We're trying to build awareness. We're trying to do community activities where we're teaching people about the dangers and about this is the largest epidemic that we'll ever see in our lifetime, way surpasses COVID. And nobody's really talking enough about it. And here's the thing, Mike, there's fentanyl, right? Are you familiar with fake pills, right?
Yes, fentanyl, and of course you had Purple Paul and everything else that killed Michael Jackson. Fentanyl that took Prince's life, and you hear all kinds of stories about that. And yeah, it's getting really sad too, and especially in certain industries as well too. Fentanyl, Purple Paul, and then there was also I'm trying to think of some of the other pills out there that got surpassed by the FDA or just let them go by for no reason. Quick profits, whatever else, and just killing off a number of people without reason.
I think that's the other issue I'm really trying to scream an alarm, because for generations people have experimented and tried drugs, right? The difference today is the street drugs are poisoned. Xanax, Adderall, Oxycontin, Percocet, one pill literally can kill. And so again, I really think that we need to warn people, and everyone, Mike, everyone should have Narcan. I mean, the federal government is funding for, let's give you an example. Servers at coffee shops are being trained how to administer Narcan nasal spray, which tells your lungs to breathe if you're overdosing, because there's so many people overdosing in bathrooms at coffee shops across our country.
Oh my
Close to,
gosh.
yeah, close to 300 people a day are dying with fentanyl poisoning. And really, that's not an overdose. I think because we have this stigma in our country, and people are saying overdose, and so they have this certain stigma around that. It's not an overdose. It's actually murder. The pills have been laced with fentanyl, and they're fake pills. So someone might take a Xanax that they get off of a buddy, hey, I'm at college, I have a lot of anxiety. Hey, I've got this Xanax, I've got this Adderall if you need to stay up and study all night. And that pill has fentanyl in it. And if there's not Narcan around, then you're literally going to die. And that's what's happening every single day in our country.
Mhm.
So that's why I'm wanting a microphone to get the word out, Mike.
Mhm. Now you talk about Narcan being administered through the nose and everything else, and what if they're resistant to it? Do they offer like a pill or a patch or shot or anything like that, or maybe like a little spray?
It is a nasal spray, and the thing is, Mike, if they're not having an overdose, it does not hurt them. So if you administered someone that you thought was having an overdose, it wouldn't hurt them if they weren't, if it was something else. So it's better to have it than to not have it and have that person
Hmm,
die.
that's rather interesting too, and I remember the scare of, Tylenol back in the day was laced with, cyanide, and of course, even nowadays, you try the safety caps, you try the foil and all that, it seems like that, people still find a way to get, poison in, it's just like I was talking to somebody the other day about, all these things are happening, rules, regulations, what they put in, and, numbers and everything else, and of course, the old adage is, "Someone builds a better mousetrap, someone builds a better mouse," which is unfortunate.
Hmm. Yeah, you should not take anything that is not prescribed to you from a physician, number one. And we really need to wake up and warn people and youth. Youth. That's what's really important, is getting to our young people so that that's again, if they're in college and they just get a pill to do, again, study Adderall, it could be laced with fentanyl. And
Mhm.
I went to Washington D.C. last month and with the DEA, and they literally said our country is under a chemical warfare attack, and it is. And we need to be talking about that. We need to be saving our children.
Mhm, and would you say the US is considered, the number one killer when it comes to, like, with the opioids and all that? Or it's just like, where do we rank like in other countries, like in Russia, China, Japan, or even like, parts of the UK and everything?
They don't have the opioid issue that we have here in our country. Absolutely not. And it is the number one killer of ages, I think, 18 to 42. It's the number one kill. It's surpassed car accidents.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is something too. You also have your book Flight as well too, talking about, your story and your son's journey and, a bit about flight as well too, and, what exactly inspired you to write the book Flight? What was that first moment that said, "I'm gonna write about this"?
For 2 years, I was a zombie after Christopher died. I was just numb and I knew I had to do something. The sixth stage of grief is finding purpose. And that's what I've done. And I felt like I needed to get out and cast a wider net and reach more people. And the way to do that was to write a book and share my story. And I use the metaphor. It's the name of the book is The Flight, My Opioid Journey. And I use the metaphor of a plane because I had to go to a different place to describe it. And, the plane is like our journey of life, right? We think
Mhm.
people are going to be on our flight forever. And people leave our flight, people join our flight. You land at joy, happiness, you land at grief, you land at sorrow, but you got to keep flying and you got to keep going on your journey. And so that's the metaphor I use. And I think that even though I'm sharing my opioid journey and I give a lot of information, it's also allows the reader to think about their own journey. And Mike, I got to tell you, I'm super excited because I've done something I think pretty innovative to market the book after each chapter. Now, before COVID, people wouldn't have known what to do with this, but now we know what to do with a QR code, right? You go to a restaurant, you need to look at the menu, you've got to scan a QR code. And so that's what made me think about it one day. And I've done a QR code after every single chapter. And so a video will come up if you scan that QR code, and I give additional information. And then in the back of the book, I have a resource library for parents and families and how to find a treatment center. And because they're QR codes, they will never be stagnant. I can always keep that information current in the book. So I'm pretty excited about that.
That sounds interesting. Sounds like you're the first person to put in QR codes at the end of each chapter. I've never heard of it. That's amazing.
Really? You've never heard of it?
No, I mean, it's QR codes, like you said, in restaurants, or you go to like,
Yeah.
stores and all that, need some, information about a computer, about what you're doing and everything. You just click on this and the QR code and all that. But at the end of chapters in each book's like, honestly, I've never heard of this. Like, that's so amazing.
Well, thank you, Mike. And the other thing I did, I think is different. I feel like my son's helping me. He's helping me drive this, and it might sound, I don't even care how it sounds. I really believe that he's helped me and he did not sacrifice for no reason. And the other thing I did is a book trailer. They have movie trailers. So I was
Hmm.
like, why can't we have a book trailer? So I actually have a book trailer coming out too, to really, again, I just want to get to the masses to warn so people don't lose their family members. It's not only you're losing the individual, it's destroying families across our country. This is a
Hmm.
this is a family disease and it needs to be treated as such.
Hmm. And then once again, what can readers get from the book as well too, besides your son, your journey, and everything else, and who's also involved in the journey too?
Well, there's a lot of interesting stories in the journey, for sure. I will tell you that I just think I'm very, very raw as far as I'm transparent and all the things I didn't want to talk about, that I would, even about my own life, things that maybe I wish I did, the mistakes that I made. And I'm hoping it makes people feel open to share their mistakes and that we're all human and we just need each other right now. And how I got through my grief. And it's been through love, and connecting with people and not to give up on our family members that are suffering. We all know one person that's suffering from substance misuse, whether that's alcohol, whatever it is, right? It could even be addicted to food, whatever that addiction is. We know, right? We all know people. And I think we need to support each other and connect with people. And I hope that it inspires people to keep going and to deal with their own issues and be okay with it. It's okay.
Hmm. And lastly, how can we help?
Wow. Well, go to CammieWolfPrice.com. I would love for you to purchase the book on my website because that way I make more money. 100% of the proceeds of the book go to the charity. And I, again, use it to do activities with youth for prevention, education, and awareness. So if you'd visit my website at Cammie, Cammie, Wolf, WLF, Rice, RICE.com, and pre-order the book, that would be fantastic. I honestly, Mike, I'm telling you, it's going to be a movie. It's going to be a movie. I feel it.
And I think it has the makings of it. And what's coming up for Cammie Wolf Rice, we'll find out just 1 minute. You listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at SonicWebStudios.com for all your needs. Also brought to you by our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international war-ring author Mia Molson's The Missing, available on Amazon and paperback and ebook. We'll be back with author Cammie Rice and founder of CWC, Christopher Wolf Crusade, Cammie Wolf Rice, and her book Flight after this time. We're back with author Cammie Wolf Rice of Flight on the Mike Wagner Show, also founder of CWC, the Christopher Wolf Crusade. And what else can we expect me in 2022 and beyond, Cammie?
Well, we're going to have life care specialists in hospitals across the country. I do believe it is also the answer for rural communities that are really suffering and don't have health care. It's sustainable, scalable, and affordable. I think they need a person at bedside. It's a missing person on our healthcare team, and that is to help people with a pain management plan when they're hurting and to give them mental wellness techniques. We don't have that as a part of the team. And Mike, Nurses are too busy today. Doctors don't have time to spend with patients. And you know what we've been able to, when we have that time to spend with that patient, we uncover so many other issues. We identify it could be home insecurity, food insecurity, domestic violence, and we're able to get them resources. So we're that in the meantime person. And it's everything that I didn't have as a caretaker and everything Christopher didn't have as a patient. So I want to see life care specialists across the United States in our hospitals nationwide.
And certainly do so as well. And who do you consider biggest influence in a career?
Who is my biggest influence?
Correct.
Wow, that's an interesting question. Who's my biggest influence? Can I say God? Because that's who it is.
You sure can.
That's
There's
it.
no right or wrong answers. Don't forget. There's no right or wrong answers.
That's my biggest influence, and that's really why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I know that my son. I hate that I lost my son, but I know that I was chosen because God knew I was going to do something with this to save. And I'm not doing this to save one life. I'm doing this to save millions of people's lives wherever
hmm
you are.
And certainly doing a great job of it as well. And what's the best advice you can give to anybody at this point?
If you have a family member that's suffering from addiction, substance misuse, they're still there. They're still in there. This is a disease, it's a brain disease. And yes, you have to have boundaries, but they need to be connected to family and people. And there are resources out there. And I do have free resources on my website to where you can get treatment. It's so important to stay with them and stay connected so you don't lose your loved one. Don't
hmm
give up
And
on them.
and certainly important as well too. Once again, we're with author Cammie Wolf Rice of Flight and also founder of CWC, the Christopher Wolf Crusade here on the Mike Wagner Show. Cammie, a very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely fantastic. Looking forward to having you again soon. Make sure you keep us up to date, keep in touch. Love to have you back. And once again, tell us about your upcoming projects, what's your website, how do people contact or can people purchase or check out your book or get more information about the Crusade?
So my book is on CammieWolfRice.com, CammieWolfRice.com, and the crusade is CWC.NGO.
Okay. All right. We'll certainly check that out. Once again, Cammie, a very big thank you for your time. You've been totally amazing. Looking forward to having you again soon. Make sure you keep us up to date, keep in touch. Love to have you back. We wish you all best, and you definitely have a great future ahead of you.
Bless you, Mike. I really appreciate this platform. Thank you so much for all you do. Thank you. Thank you.